The ideas, procedures, and suggestions contained within this podcast are not intended as a substitute for consulting with a medical professional. All matters regarding your health and fitness require medical consultation and supervision. Welcome to the Warrior Wellness Podcast, a podcast for military members, veterans, and first responders focusing on fitness, health, nutrition, and biohacking. Our mission with this podcast is to introduce America's heroes to lifestyle habits and hacks that will help them live healthier, happier lives, and in turn, be fit enough to continue their support of their communities and country.
Well, Dr. Shivani Gupta, thank you so much for being on the Warrior Wellness Podcast. So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
So I just want to tell our audience just a tiny bit about you, and then I'll let you kind of follow up with that with a little bit more detail. So Dr. Gupta, she studied with some of the leading experts in the health field and received advanced degrees. She realized that she wanted to see a more holistic approach to some of the chronic medical issues that were prevalent in our society. So she did the amazing thing of taking a risk and deciding to start her own supplement company. So we're going to talk about that. But Dr. Gupta, can you kind of give us your abbreviated journey of how you kind of transitioned into holistic medical health?
Sure. So I'm originally from Texas and born and raised, and every single year of my life, I'd go to India with my family to see my parents' brothers, their sisters, their parents, my grandparents. And what was troubling to me was all my family around me was trying to live the American dream, and everyone was working so hard. They had come here with so little. They were working so hard to build financial foundation and to take care of us as the children. But every time we went home to India to visit, someone would pass away or suffer from some horrible diagnosis or disease. And I just remember thinking, I don't get it. Like, we're supposed to work really hard, but then by working really hard, we sacrifice our health. But then because we're sacrificing our health in the end of this journey, we're really going to end up suffering and in pain. So I kept seeing this. By the time I got to high school, I thought to myself, I really need to find a way to prevent diabetes, because this is the ultimate disease that's really harming all of us, that's taking away from us. It's like our family history that's devastating. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to business school. I'll figure this out. And eventually, when I was in my undergrad business school, I learned about social entrepreneurship. And I was like, social entrepreneurship, it's a way for us to create and invent things for the world that change the world and do good while we get to be entrepreneurs creating these things. And so after I graduated school, I was on my journey starting cool. Like, I started an organic cotton children's clothing company and different fun things to try to impact the world. And when it got time for me to get pregnant with my first daughter, I looked around and I was like, why are there no Ayurvedic pregnancy books? Don't people realize we can't just run into pregnancy at 200 miles an hour, go crashing into that hospital at birth, and then hoping to have Zen, happy, healthy babies? And that was my aha moment. Like, no wonder we have so much disease and stuff. We're not even starting the journey right. We're not even building the body as like a great vessel for that time. So that really led me down a journey. And I was like, that's it. I'm going to formally study Ayurveda once and for all. Because by that time, I had been dancing around it. Every time I went to India, I visited a detox center. I kept immersing myself. I learned about those things we all learn on our wellness journey, like antibiotics had damaged my gut. Heavy use of antibiotics through high school was part of my problem and why I felt like I had no immune system. And so eventually studied Ayurveda, did my master's in it, realized how amazing turmeric is. I knew it philosophically, but I didn't realize until I took herbology how many of my family's issues could be impacted if I would just do something in the land of turmeric. And so my PhD dissertation was on turmeric. And by the time I finished that, I became the biggest evangelist you've ever met about the benefits of turmeric. And my family's like, listen, if you're going to be the crazy girl who says take turmeric to us all day, make one. Like, if you don't trust anyone out on the market at the drugstore to make one, you should make one. And so that 7 years ago, I created my supplement line. And my goal was, how do we create something so that doctor who you go visit, instead of saying, take this NSAID, will give you a natural solution. And so that's where I am now. And I feel I'm still young. So I feel like I've got decades ahead of me to create more cool things out of Ayurveda that we can use.
Yeah. And I definitely want to have you explain what Ayurvedic means, because I know
Sure.
a lot of people out there probably aren't familiar with the term. So can you
Sure.
explain specifically what Ayurvedic approaches to health mean?
Yeah. So Ayurveda is a system of medicine from India. It's over 5,000 years old. So we have these textbooks that explain surgery and pediatrics and all these areas of medicine before we even developed a system of medicine. And what I find cool about Ayurveda is it encompasses not just like medicine, it covers food, lifestyle, self-care habits that are detoxing, doing an annual detox that's good for the body, how we nourish the body. We talk a lot about digestive fire and we call it Agni. Agni means digestive fire, and igniting that fire, igniting our metabolism, having a digestion that's so strong, because to us that is vitality. And science has proven now that that fire is immunity too. Gut is immunity. We teach the concept of circadian rhythm. And so living according to the rhythm of nature is how we succeed in sleep and all these other areas. So Ayurveda encompasses a lot of things, but it's an entire system of health and healing that we can use to live a truly preventive lifestyle every single day.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing how thousands of years ago they understood the impact of gut health on our holistic health in general? Like, they didn't even know that we had all of these things, the gut health issues. But now, like, this is one of
Yeah,
the biggest problems in the field of chronic health issues.
absolutely. They knew about so many things that if you think about it, they didn't have microbes understandings. They had no idea about what we know now. Now that we know this, it's such a interesting thing that we're reverting back to that ancient wisdom to say, okay, well, since you knew about it, how are we going to fix it? Because we've already screwed this up. So, yeah.
So the question is here is why turmeric? So there's a lot of herbs I'm sure used and Ayurvedic processes. Why did you specifically kind of target turmeric? And like you said, you did your dissertation on it. So there was something about turmeric that was very special to you, in comparison to all the other maybe herbs and supplements out there that you could have studied.
Yeah, well, it's funny. As I studied through herbology class and we studied each one, I was like, oh my God, this one does all this. Cinnamon is this awesome, and ginger is this awesome, and ashwagandha does all this, and moringa does all that. Like, oh my God, we need to take all of this. And then growing up here in the US, I was like, okay, well, if I want to stay healthy, I need to take all these other superfoods. There's goji berries and cacao and this and that. And I tried some and they tasted like charcoal. And I was like, how many things can we stuff in a protein shake, guys? And so I just remember going through that list, and finally I was like, turmeric seems to be ubiquitous. Like, it seems to do everything that all the other superfoods do. So being that I've been in a business family my whole life, I've always looked around and everyone was always in a rush. Like, there's never free time to sit there and lovingly make lattes and lovingly do a lot of what Ayurveda teaches us. That's why I teach certain self-care things. I teach tea time is me time. I'm like, stop and sip your tea and soak in a moment, even if it's just 5 minutes a day, total. And so with turmeric, I thought, if we can find one thing that will move the needle in inflammation, it's anti-inflammatory, antifungal, antibacterial, antiviral, it's antioxidant. So I was like, you're covering all the issues. And in my own case, I had multiple issues post kids where I had plantar fasciitis, I had different issues. And doctors had told me, hey, just take this NSAID for 24 hours, 7 days a week. And then I was like, okay, I'll take it if that'll solve the problem. And then the punishment was stomach aches every time I ate and having all these post side effects. And I thought, wow, you gave me something that helped me. Thank you for solving my health issue that I came to you for. But now there's a punishment to it, attached to it. Why am I getting punished for taking care of myself? And same thing with antibiotics. I think antibiotics are great when used in the right form, but then where's the honoring of the after effect? And with turmeric, the only contraindication is don't take it on blood thinners. It is a vasodilator. So that this could be that thing that if we would just reduce systemic inflammation in the body as early as possible, One of my mentors taught me from Houston. He worked at MD Anderson Cancer Center. He was the person who discovered turmeric with black pepper increases the absorption 2000%. And I had worked in his lab as a kid, having no idea that one day I would actually deeply, deeply care about turmeric. He said, look, when we're younger, we switch on these light switches in our body of inflammation. We never stop and turn those off. We just turn them all on, and then boom, you're going through college and partying and drinking and poor sleep. 20s, 30s, 40s. Now all of a sudden the body's talking to you. You're getting some messages. 50s, they're coming through as diagnoses. And so how do we prevent that is how I looked at it. Is how do I show people that we can use herbs, spices, lifestyle, and back that train into remission, really, and not causing us trouble.
Yeah. And, and of course, you and I know, being in the health space, now they're realizing that, basically all of our chronic health issues that are so prevalent in our society and all over the world, but we'll talk about, the US specifically, is all linked to inflammation. All the top things that kill you, here in the United States, it's all linked to inflammation.
Correct. And so every specialty is now realizing that all they're telling us when we go in is you have something itis. You have this itis, that itis. Itis is inflammation. So it's like, if everyone is telling you what your problem is inflammation, why wouldn't you just go after the root cause? Why aren't we all saying, wow, the water, air, food, stress, everything around me is causing this problem. It's my job to go and find a real solution to it. And I hear a lot of people who go to the store and buy turmeric. And they're like, I buy it at this store, that big box retailer. And my message to everyone is we have to take it in the right form and the right potency to drive the result that we want. Just like in anything, when you invest in the right quality, you get that better result.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I describe inflammation as, we have wonderful systems that biology gave us to deal with inflammation, right? I mean, the body is a magical thing, and things do cause inflammation, and we will have an injury or you contract a cold, or, you sprain your knee. There's systems in place in our body to deal with those things, but they're only supposed to be sporadic. It's not supposed to be 24/7 for decades at a time, which is unfortunately how people are living their lives. So it's not just about having colds and injuries anymore. It's about the high levels of stress. It's about the lack of sleep. It's about eating very high inflammatory foods, with chemicals in them that are, spiking these inflammation rates. It's no self-care, not the tea time, me time, like zero self-care in this world. Like we're go, and never taking a break. So this is all inflammation creating, and you do that for decades. And it's like our body has this design to deal with these little fires that come up, but it's not designed to deal with a decades long, citywide fire, which is basically what's happening in your body. You just don't have the systems to deal with that.
I love how you explain that. That's a great visual. It is a citywide fire. It is the body saying, how many places do you want me to go try to put out a fire? I'm unsupported. I don't have the nourishment. I don't have the tools. Give me something.
Yeah. So it's certainly not about, we're not suggesting here that just taking turmeric is going to, solve all your problems, but it is, I describe it, supplements more like kind of like a Band-Aid, so if you have a wound on your arm and you put a Band-Aid over it, we know that the Band-Aid is not curing your wound, but the Band-Aid helps with supporting your body's processes of being able to heal itself. So it's not a cure, but it's kind of just a boost, a support. So then you can do the other things that are necessary to actually heal that wound.
Absolutely. I always teach it as, look, the turmeric can come in here. It's going to take that inflammation from here and drop it, but there's still a long way to go. So I'd like you to meet me in the middle. I'd like us to talk about turmeric will do a amount of the job. It'll give you the runway for the body to go start healing itself. Once you've given the body that ability, now you need to meet me in the middle. Now we need to talk about diet, lifestyle, all the other things, because otherwise you're just going to meet constantly nulling each other out. You're taking the turmeric, but you're not doing the work to finish the job.
Introducing the new Fireteam Whiskey Fitness and Nutrition app. Everything you need to get fit and lose weight right at your fingertips. Choose from hundreds of fitness videos and fitness plans. Search for workouts by fitness level, equipment available, or body part focus. Choose from several nutrition plans and customize your macros. Your entire fitness, nutrition, and wellness plan all scheduled on your calendar. Text a trainer anytime for tips, tricks, and motivation. Achieve your fitness and health goals with the Fireteam Whiskey app. Go to www.fireteamwhiskey.com to get 2 weeks of results for free.
Yeah. And it's funny how, as a modern society, we've come away from, the traditional use of herbs and plants as medicines, which our ancestors have been doing. I mean, we wouldn't be around as a species, right? Like human beings would be extinct if our ancestors had not done that. They couldn't run down to the Walgreens and get a prescription, right? So they had to find these medicines in nature. And it's funny how people kind of turn up their nose and go, oh, why would I take these herbs? But that's what our ancestors did. This is why we're still here as human beings. So it's not a foreign concept, but for some reason now in our society of just have a prescription and take a pill, I think the average American's on like 4 to 6 medications.
Wow.
So it's just, we've kind of like just gotten into this mindset of, if a doctor didn't write me the script, why would I take it? So can you kind of make the argument for how there's so many, plant-based, herbal-based ways that actually do the same thing that any medication a script would do, but you don't get the nasty side effects of a traditional medical, medication?
For sure. Growing up in Indian household, we have something called a masal dhani. It's like a round little box with all our Indian spices in there. And I remember growing up and I was like, why do all our houses have to smell like curry? Like, what is this thing? And can't you guys keep it more airtight? And when I finally studied Ayurveda, I was like, whoa, that box is actually magic, because you can solve a lot of life's issues out of that one box. It has red pepper, it has garam masala, turmeric, cardamom. We have a mango powder that's like lemon, but we have cumin in there. We always start the cooking with cumin because we know it reduces the gas producing effects. It helps with digestion. So there's a lot of science and thought out properties to how we cook, the order in which we cook, the way we eat our foods, the seasonality to how we eat our foods. I have this one spice called hing, for example, and hing is really a very potent herb from India that helps with digestion. So if you have gas, if you have bloating, if you have any sort of indigestion in the body, you can reach to this spice, because we even use it at the base of every lentil dish we cook, so that when you're cooking a lentil, you'll reduce the gas producing qualities of lentils and beans so that you can digest them. So I can tell when I eat beans and stuff out, it doesn't feel as good. When I eat them at home, digest perfectly. So I took this hing spice, and my grandma taught me how to make it as a simple recipe: a pinch of hing and a pinch of kala namak, purple salt. And the two together, you heat it up in a cup of water, like a cup of tea, boiling it and then bringing it to tea temperature and drinking it. And it's such a powerful home remedy. Anytime I go and I eat out, if I get home and I don't feel right, I'm like, oh no, that must have had gluten in it. That must have had something in it. Everything is being thrown off my whole system. Like, my system is very reactive if I eat something that's inflammatory or off. And so I'm very clear now, like which restaurants I go to or not. I had gone to a restaurant, and all of a sudden when I got home, I felt so much pain, and I couldn't tell if it was from gluten or from something else that was really inflammatory that I ate. So by the time I got home, I was like, okay, let me just make hinka pani. Let me make this tea and drink it. And what it does, it all of a sudden soothes the system, helps with digestion. So you don't have that gassiness, that discomfort, that pain. So I use this remedy on my kids, on my clients. I teach it to everybody. I've spoken on stage. I'm like, you guys, I know this is a really smelly spice, but it'll save your life. because it's that perfect remedy down on hand. So that's what I like to teach people, is how to have all sorts of spices on hand that you can reach for, whether it's hing, whether it's turmeric, whether it's ginger, have ginger lemon tea, all these different solutions. So through the different seasons and through your year, you can reach for a solution that works for you.
Yeah, and even just like the stuff that we just go to drugstores for, you know, cold medicines or throat lozenges, and you know, there's a herbal or plant alternative to that, that is, you know, that won't have any kind of side effects that maybe those medications might give you.
Exactly. Manuka honey. If I get a cold and cough, I just have some Manuka honey. When I feel a tickle in my throat, everyone right now is like, I have a tickle in my throat. I think I'm starting a cold. I'm like, I have an entire cabinet called My Immune Defense. And I just walk myself up the ladder. I start with like turmeric gold, colloidal silver. Done. Oh, that didn't quite hold. Okay, next level. I'm going to take 4 of them. And they're all herbs. They're all plants. I immediately drop into an anti-inflammatory diet. If I feel under the weather, I immediately support gut health. So it's just about understanding that dance, that plant medicine is what's healed us for thousands of years, like you said. And we're of the earth. That's the core tenet of Ayurveda. We are made of this planet, right? We came from the earth. We're going back into the earth. And so if we can honor and revere those plants, they have the best healing potential for us. Our bodies know what those are. Our bodies know where to send that. They know exactly where it should go to support us. And so there's such a power there if we'll just reach for it and use it.
Yes. And also just to emphasize what you said before, and I say this all the time to my clients, you know, don't just go to like the vitamin shop and just like, you know, just throw a bunch of stuff into your basket and take it all. There is so much bad product out there because people don't understand that these things are not regulated. And
Totally.
so there could be anything in them. There's lots of independent testing sites out there that do testing and show that these supplement companies are getting away with murder out there. They are lying about you know, what's in their products. They're putting a bunch of fillers in them. They don't have the, you know, the claimed, you know, milligrams or dosages that they claim that are in their products. There's lots of real terrible fillers that are in them that are causing harm. So don't just go out there and just get random supplements. So let's talk about your line of supplements, fusionary formulas, and the quality of those and why they're you know, they're a great choice when it comes to choosing, you know, a supplement line out there.
Sure. So when I built Fusionary, I live in South Florida, and my in-law family down here is all in medicine. And my intention was really, okay, if I was going to build a turmeric supplement for myself and my family, what would I make? How would I go about making it? And if I wanted to put a new tool in the toolbox of every orthopedic surgeon or doctor who treats pain and inflammation, how potent would I need to make this thing so they'd really use it as a tool? Because otherwise they're going to say, look, you're the same as everyone else. I'm not using that. That makes no sense. And so I was very deliberate in my sourcing. I sourced an ingredient and my factory was like, you are crazy. No one uses an ingredient that expensive in supplements. And I was like, how about this? Just humor me. This is my social entrepreneurship idea. I will make the numbers work one day in my life, but my year one, just let me test the theory. If I can get people off of what they're taking and turmeric will hold them. That was my theory. And I wanted to prove it first. And so I did in year one. And all these doctors were like, wow, this is amazing. So to me, it came down to sourcing. And then I manufacture it here in the US where I have control over my production. I can walk into the factory anytime. I know that all the different ingredients that go into inflammation relief, if I can't find them from India, I source them from the US, organic. And I know who those people are who grow it. So I'm very obsessed with the sourcing of it and the production of it so that when I say, hey, I made this, I invented it, I can be very confident that it's exactly what I wanted being given to the person. And then we do a lot of testing in-house, in-lab, pre-production, all those things to ensure that we're giving a safe and clean product to everybody.
Yeah. So I went through your website and just looked at all the different, you have a lot of different products, but I just picked out 3 just to maybe have you talk about. So of course, let's talk about the turmeric gold. You know, tell us about that product.
Yeah, so turmeric gold is a very classic formula. I created that one assuming that most of my orthopedic doctors, rheumatologists, functional medicine doctors, all the people I'd interact with would want that classic formula because we have over 6,000 scientific studies proving what curcumin with black pepper will do. And what I did was I sourced specifically curcumin. So out of the entire turmeric plant called Curcuma longa, only 3% is the curcuminoids. And out of those three, according to my research, curcumin is the most effective at reducing that inflammation. So I took that one single extract, added turmeric, and added black pepper to increase the absorption. So you can take it anytime and it would still do the job. And I used a 98% grade potency curcumin. And so that's where we are very different is most people give you a lot of the turmeric, which you can buy for like $3 at the store. A lot of people will give you all three curcuminoids. I was very distinct and isolated in how I built mine. So a lot of people have switched to ours. And then if they ever try to just buy something at the store for convenience, they're like, it didn't do anything. And they come back.
Yeah. Yeah. So the potency alone is just powerful. So anybody may be struggling who has old injuries or pain, chronic pain, this might be a great choice for them.
Yeah, and I take it as a daily preventive. So there's both sides. There's the I have pain, inflammation, joint pain, chronic joint pain crew, and they or people who need to keep their hand function due to chronic pain. That's one crew. And then there's the other crew who's like, I just don't want to get sick on planes. I don't want to get sick from travel. I'm going to a lot of concerts and weddings. And so a lot of people who want just a strong immune system take it for that reason too.
Okay, yeah. So that brings us to the next one, the immune booster. I was really interested in this product. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so immune booster it has some turmeric in it. It has D, C, zinc, quercetin. You know, we just went through a pandemic and I needed a simple, quick pill I could take where I didn't have to take all of those things separately. Like in my immune defense drawer, I have everything separate. So I can take D at 10,000 IUs if needed and quercetin in full form, all those things. But I didn't need that daily. Daily, I just needed a support that gave me a good broad spectrum. That's where immune booster comes in.
Yeah. So for somebody who maybe, is traveling for the holidays, and wants to boost their immune system or, maybe you have a surgery coming up, then, that's a great time to take this and afterwards, during and afterwards your surgery. Anybody who's immune compromised, who's maybe, had to go through chemotherapy or something like that, this would be a great idea to take this product.
True. Very true.
Okay. And then with, I think the statistic is, like almost 90% of Americans being chronically sleep deprived. I wanted to talk about your deep sleep formula.
Yeah. So deep sleep formula, after turmeric and inflammation, my third favorite is deep sleep formula and deep sleep tea. So deep sleep formula is sublingual drops. I was looking for an empty bottle to show you guys, and I can't find one. But deep sleep formula is, I should have brought it from my own bedroom. I have it by my bedside. It's liquid drops in a bottle. And so what I love about it is it's sublingual drops. You put the drops under your tongue only for how much sleep you want. So I remember a long time ago, someone had given me a sleep formula to try, and I was like, wow, these Chinese herbs are awesome. But every time I took that supplement, I would pop awake at 5 a.m. And I was like, wait a minute, I have this thing. I'm going tonight. I don't want to be awake in the morning. So deep sleep you can take for 6 hours of sleep, 8 hours of sleep. You decide how much sleep you want. And its job is to put you into a deep sleep state and hold you there. So I love it because I'll take 24 drops, 3 drops per hour of sleep desired in my case, because I've taken it for 2 years now. And I don't use it every night. I don't want to be reliant on it. I'm a big fan of everyone cycling on and off with whatever they do. Even my turmeric gold, I'm like, everybody, let's be reasonable. There's nothing we should take every day forever. Ayurveda teaches moderation, nutrient variety, playing back and forth with things, seasonality of these things. So a deep sleep formula I take when I know I want a perfect night's sleep. And then it holds you there. And then you wake up refreshed and ready, like energized for the day. And I use deep sleep tea every single night because I made that one full of my adaptogenic herbs to help relax the mind and relax the digestive system before sleep.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
And the tincture, the actual formula, what's in that? So there are two different formulas.
Sure. So the tincture has GABA, L-DOPA, mucunapurians. It has saw palmetto. It has melatonin 1 milligram. It has magnesium. So it has all these different things that help the body connect and get the signals needed to get into a deeper sleep state.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And then the one you're forgetting that's actually our most popular right now is inflammation relief.
Yes, and that one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, inflammation relief. After I thought turmeric gold would be our number one forever, and everything else would come second. And this year, we're seeing this huge shift where people know that they're inflamed. They know turmeric's awesome, but they are leaning more towards inflammation relief because I put in there guduchi, amla, dried ginger. It's like a synergy of herbs that work like a symphony to go after inflammation in the body. So I take turmeric like a daily preventive, but if I know I have inflammation, I'll take inflammation relief and it'll drop it down fast. So.
Okay, great. Yeah, fantastic. So, any last thoughts or anything else that we didn't cover today that you feel like needs to be covered before we end the podcast?
Sure. I really encourage everyone to look up Ayurveda. Dr. Vasant Lad is kind of the father of Ayurveda in the US, at least. I encourage you to pick up a book and read about the Ayurvedic lifestyle. I have on my website as well some knowledge and some wisdom. I teach a 6-week program on it. But to incorporate Ayurvedic tools in your daily life, even if it's just the self-care rituals, even if it's just a tongue scraper, each little tool you add to your toolkit adds up to your body being more detoxed, your inflammation being reduced, your circadian rhythm being on track, and each piece adds up to you having that vibrant health that you want. So I happen to love talking about the herbs a lot, but I also love emphasizing that point that it's by adjusting the lifestyle that we live in tiny little dose long-term impact that we create.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So, Dr. Shivani Gupta's company, Fusionary Formulas, www.fusionaryformulas.com, and all the links to her website and her social media will be in the show notes, so you can easily click on that. So, Dr. Gupta, thank you so much for being on the Warrior Wellness Podcast. Hey guys, thanks so much again for joining us on another episode of the Warrior Wellness Podcast. Please make sure to subscribe, follow, like, all that good stuff on your favorite podcast platform and on our YouTube channel. Go ahead and leave us a review while you're there. And if you screenshot your review, email it to info@fireteamwhiskey.com with your name and address. You'll be entered into our drawing for a prize for just leaving us a review. So let us know what we're doing great, what you'd like to hear more about, and please go ahead and just give us a follow and give us a honest review, especially on iTunes, because that helps us reach other military members, veterans, and first responders with this vitally important information about how to improve their health, fitness, and wellness. We will see you at the next episode of the Warrior Wellness Podcast. I am your podcast host, former Army Captain Stephanie Lincoln, founder of Fire Team Whiskey. Fire Team Whiskey is proud to sell Zaya athletic wear. We love the awesome styles, amazing quick dry technology, and best of all, the price. Zaya Active is the official workout wear of Fire Team Whiskey. Go to bit.ly/ZayaFTW and check out all the styles for women, men, and kids.